Welcome to week 10 and the final week of your personal breakthrough training. Congratulations on getting to week 10 and doing all the work. In the last 2 weeks and this week are the most powerful of the entire training. So we're really going to send you off on a high note. So what are we planning to do? Well, of course, we're hoping that these rituals have become habitualized by the time you're done with this. And if you've been consistent throughout this training doing these, those habits are well on their way to being lifelong habits. If you haven't been that consistent, you just got to keep working at it, right? So the more times you interrupted the regular routine, the 7-day-a-week routine, right, the less likely it is to be completely habitualized by now. You might have been just doing it weekdays, in which case you might have habitualized the weekday practice, but not the weekend. We're encouraging you to make this a 7-day-a-week habit. And if you've been great about that, fantastic. All right, we're going to add some powerful tools to your toolbox, some emotional management tools, so that as life knocks you down, you can use these tools to kind of get back up, dust yourself off, clean up the wounds, get yourself moving, ready to do battle, to compete, and to win at this game of life. Celebrate. Do something with your family. Tell your mom and dad, it's time for us to celebrate. And this is a fantastic achievement. 10 weeks, 70 days, awesome. Great, go out, do something special. We'll take a look at the next steps too. All right, so day 1, you're going to learn about the visual squash. This is a powerful technique that capitalizes on your unconscious mind's power of visual communication. And it's basically used to deal with conflicts between values, life priorities type issues, or between parts. Like if you're still holding on to some of the negative emotions or limiting decisions, and you've done the other things and that hasn't completely released yet, this is the last step in that process. And if this doesn't get it, and it's pretty strong, then I highly recommend that you talk about this with your family and all, and see if there isn't somebody that you can see directly, personally, one-to-one, to kind of clear up whatever that issue might be. But 99.9% of you, by the time you've done this, if you even need to do this, you're not going to have any issues. Those negative emotions, any little taint that, if it is there at all, is not going to be a concern. So, the visual squash, well, that will come after, of course, you do your morning, evening breathing rituals. Question-focused statement. You shared your questions. You kind of got those in your mind for the day. You got to read the lesson. Not long, 3 minutes maybe. And then in the evening, we're going to have you first, before you do anything with the visual squash, take a look at your belief and value lines. Very similar to timeline therapy concept. And this, for a good chunk of you, will be a very simple and powerful technique for moving beliefs or values up or down on your hierarchy as needed. So more will be in the lesson on that. And then, again, use the visual squash as needed. Guys may not need to really do either one of those because they've been dealt with earlier, but these are tools that you can still use and can be helpful as you discover things in the future, any possible conflict that may come up in the future, or need for a movement of belief or values along those lines. Reflect and move on. So this day, it's hard to tell how long or short it will be. It really depends on each individual, but the vast majority of these will not be very long because you will not necessarily need to do or follow along with those videos that outline the process. All right, week 10, day 2, swish pattern. Swish pattern is a technique where you change the actual structure of an internal representation in order to change the meaning. You change the code. You change the code, you change the meaning. So you will continue morning, evening, breathing rituals, question focused statement, develop your questions, share them, read the lesson, practice a swish pattern, and reflect. This will be a quick day. The swish pattern doesn't take long to try out and practice, and I'll encourage you to do that in the evening. So anchoring is simply put a conditioned response. We can now consciously and purposefully build anchors into our routines and rituals. Music and smell are probably the two most powerful. Smell, actually, physiologically, is the most powerful, which is why aromatherapy can be so powerful. So I would certainly encourage you to consider in using smells, but also music. So in this morning and evening ritual, so by the time you're done your ritual, you should then put on some music, something that is upbeat and was ready to start your day out. So as you go, get in the car to go to school, wait for the bus, whatever it is, right? Put some music on that is upbeat and positive. Stay away from the negative, the music that agitates. Stay away from that, especially early in the morning. Those have limited use. All right, limited use. Go with a positive, upbeat, motivational music, whatever it is for you. Question-focused statement. Share your questions. Share your music lists with people. You know, there's one song, an old song, but it is still a powerful, upbeat, positive song to get you going in the day. And I suggest you add that to your list. Look it up. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Look it up. I don't care how old it is, and it goes back before my generation. So, and I'm old. Well, maybe not that old, but anyways, it's powerful. Look it up. It's a great song, upbeat, positive. Put it on your playlist. Read the lesson. Build some anchors, especially music list. Get it. And reflect. All right, day 4, strategies. One of the things that you really want to do in order, if you're going to change a behavior, it's good to know how you do a particular behavior. That's what a strategy is. It's how your brain runs the behavior. How does it make a decision? How do you do that? How does your brain do that? When you learn the strategy, if it's not an effective strategy, it's not a good strategy, it's a strategy that doesn't really support you, then you can interrupt it. And the more you interrupt it, the more frequently you interrupt it, you'll break down that strategy and you can install a new one. It is a little bit challenging to do it on your own because you typically run the behavior unconsciously. So getting somebody to help interrupt that pattern will be very powerful. This is where you can really, reach out to folks, reach out to your best friend, tell them the strategy. Say, look, if you see me doing this, will you do something to interrupt my pattern so I can do something different? All right, you're going to continue with these morning, evening breathing rituals. QFS, share your questions. As always, read, do the lesson, reflect. Day 5, Akka Chords and forgiving. Akka Chords are another simple technique for cutting emotional bonds. In this case, it's bonds of negativity between you and another. Now, most of that's been cleared up through your timeline therapy and all this other stuff. However, learning how to do Akka Chords now can be a real quick way. If you've had a conflict with somebody during the day, use this technique, break that connectivity right off, deal with it, and then you can once that chain's been broken, you can probably then work it out with that other person in a much more better light. So use the Akka Chords. Continue your morning, evening breathing ritual. That's right. Develop that question around, or those questions around that question-focused statement. Read the lesson, experiment with Akka Chords, and reflect. So day 6, acting as if. Your body language is a powerful component of the internal communication. And because of that, the ability to act as if is a powerful way to change your state. Change your physiology, you change your state. All right? So if you're feeling down, act as if you aren't. Breathe differently. Hold your shoulders differently. Look at how your expression on your face. If I know you've experienced it as a kid, you may not remember, but if you ever seen like a little kid cry, the shoulders are down, heads down, tears running down, and if you just come by and very gently put your fingers under their chin, lift their chin up, maybe even get them to smile a little, anything you can do to smile, their crying begins to stop and they begin to change their total emotional state simply by changing the physiology first. All right? So act as if. Again, continue morning, evening breathing rituals, question-focused statement. Then practice it. Practice acting as if. This even works, guys, academically, right? If you haven't done great in school, try acting physiologically, right? Walk into a classroom, sit in your seat, hold yourself the way the best students in your class do. Watch them, mirror them, match them, see how they're doing it, right? Just doing that can have an amazing impact. Reflect on the whole process. Day 7, autosuggestion. So autosuggestion is simply repeating mantras or prayers or chants or any series of words, anything positive to yourself. This really helps reinforce long-term and helps, it's kind of like giving you a shield against all the barbs and negativity that gets thrown at you. And people, now if you haven't noticed, people can be downright mean and nasty. And doing this is like putting on that armor, putting on that shield to help deflect all those things away. So continue with your morning, evening breathing rituals. Question-focused statement. Share your questions. Read the lesson. Then create some positive mantras to repeat regularly and repeat them regularly. Right? If you go on for further training with us, this becomes a significant part of the spiritual training, one of the last pieces to our Mindset of a Champion training. And reflect. Then, of course, you know what you need to do last but not least? Celebrate. This has been an incredible journey, guys. 10 weeks, 70 days. A whole lot of it in the beginning was pulling stuff out, pulling it out, trying to learn more about yourself. And I know it wasn't, the most exciting and whatever, but the last couple weeks have really been about the actual cleaning up of things. So now as you go forward, this habits that you've had, and now using these tools on a daily basis, with your reflecting, your journaling, the CBT as part of your journaling, the anchoring and the music, the mantras, this is all gearing you up to tackle life. It's the habit, it's the emotions, and your attitude is different now. Okay? So celebrate that. Just celebrate it. It's awesome, right? And go out and conquer. And it's been my pleasure to work with all of you. So I'll see you a couple more times in our sessions this week, in our office hours. And when you're all done, we'll have one celebratory meeting. We will go get them this week, guys.